PC Hoops with Coach Cooley continues.
All right, we are back here on PC Hoops with Coach Cooley. Bill Koch from the Providence Journal joining us. This is March. We were just saying it off the air, Bill, the best time of the year.
It is. It is. If you're a college hoops fan, best month of the year is here.
You are heading to New York a few days early. You've got the URI Rams starting on Tuesday. You'll be making your way to Madison Square Garden Thursday, 2:30 against UConn. Before we get into that matchup against the Huskies, we mentioned it earlier in the show. Friars could have finished as high as 2. They're down to 5. Why are they the 5 heading into the Big East tournament?
If you were going to look at one theme, it's defensive breakdowns. 3 of the last 4 games, 3 of the worst performances they've had all year. At UConn, Xavier at home, and then Seton Hall. The Huskies and Musketeers have 2 very good offenses, 2 top 10-ish, top 15-ish type offenses. Seton Hall is very middle of the pack in the nation, playing without Kadari Richmond, their point guard. That one is much more concerning than the other 2.
Yeah, Providence had a tough time with Richmond when we were there.
Yes.
The first game of the Big East Conference play, that was at the Prudential Center in mid-December. But yes, those first 2 teams you mentioned, UConn and Xavier, in a class of their own. Was there something that one of those 3 teams or all 3 teams did to PC, or was it more PC self-inflicted wounds?
Well, I think they're isolating some players on Providence. You're looking at Jared Bynum, they're isolating him in pick and roll. They're isolating Noah Locke. They're pulling Bryce Hopkins away from the basket. You can see that in his free throw numbers and certainly in his production on the glass. And so I think teams have gotten a little more savvy about how they're going to play against Providence, how they might want to break them down. They're going to stay away from Devin Carter. They're going to try not to be so physical with Ed Croswell because you're not going to beat that guy in a toughness contest. And they're picking on the other 3 starters on the floor.
Yeah, as you can see here, that's right by Bynum. And Tyrese Samuels, you saw earlier in the highlight, goes on a pick and roll right down the middle of the lane for the jam. All right, let's move this conversation forward a little bit, and let's look ahead to the Huskies. Both teams split the season series. Each got the other on their home floor. And it might be a 50-50 crowd at MSG. These might be the 2 best fan bases there at Madison Square Garden, maybe outside of Villanova for this upcoming week. But how do you see the 3rd game going, and what are your keys for both sides?
You had St. John's in the noon game, and that's going to be a really tough ticket for the day session. Certainly UConn is playing very well right now. They look like the team who they were in the non-conference when they won the Phil Knight Invitational, when they had non-conference wins over Alabama, Iowa State, Florida. Looked really potent. 2 first-team All-Big East guys in Jordan Hawkins and Adama Sanogo, playing very well at both ends of the floor. And this looks a lot like Dan Hurley's team at Rhode Island in 2017. They had some wobbles in the middle of the season, then won 9 in a row and won the Atlantic 10 Tournament Championship. So they are peaking at the right time, while Providence seems to be going the other way and really needs a fresh start.
Quickly, your keys, if you had to pick one for both sides, what would it be?
The Friars need to get to the foul line like they did in the first matchup. You mentioned Hopkins, and his free throw rate just hasn't been getting there. Obviously, for UConn, just keep doing what you're doing and ride your best players. And for me, that's Jordan Hawkins. He's so smooth. I feel like he's a clear NBA talent.
Yeah, speaking of best players, Jordan Hawkins, Adama Sanogo from UConn on the first team. Obviously, Bryce Hopkins, a unanimous selection. Another player from around here with ties, Tyler Koch. We've got some video from when he was here right before Christmas in December with the Golden Eagles. That was a thrilling double overtime game. But he's got a chance, Bill, along with Hopkins, to be the player of the year. Right now, if you had to look at one, who maybe has the stronger case?
I think generally coaches voting, they might default to the best player on the best team. Marquette won the league by 2 games. Koch 2nd nationally in assists. He's 4th nationally in assist rate. He led the conference in assist to turnover ratio. We were talking about it before we came on the air, Maury. He looks like a potential NBA player at this point. And I will freely admit that I did not see that when he was at Cumberland. His development after he left the Clippers, going to St. George's, he's the Rookie of the Year in the A-10 at George Mason. And now what he's done in his 2nd year at Marquette, it's just so impressive how much better he's gotten over time.